Hey folks, human rights attorney Leigh Dundas here. I don't know if you heard last night, but last evening marked a momentous time in history. The state Supreme Court in California, the highest court in our state, in one of the biggest states in our nation, ordered Governor Gavin Newsom to answer up as to why he closed virtually every single state school in this region, in our state, nearly a month ago, thus depriving almost 10 million kids in this state of their constitutionally guaranteed right to an education, not a Zoom call once a day, but an actual real on-campus education. Given that according to the CDC, your child, if they're under the age of 19, has a 100.0% likelihood of surviving COVID if they contract it. And further, given that the kids in our state have an actual constitutionally guaranteed right to an education. It's not just a good idea, it's a constitutional guarantee in our state. And furthermore, given that the 43% of kids in this state who are poor or very poor also have that right, and that the 74% of kids who are not white but are a racial minority in the state also have a right to an education, and that the more than 10% of kids who are special needs or disabled also have a right to that education in our state. It is my humble expectation that the lawyers for Governor Newsom are going to be quite busy over the next 3 days between now and Friday of this week when their answer to the state Supreme Court is due, justifying exactly why the state decided to close all of the schools on campus in this state nearly 1 month ago. This lawsuit was brought, if you don't know, by Orange County Board of Education and a handful of private schools, and they are having a press conference about this momentous issue tomorrow, Wednesday, August 26th at 11 a.m. at the Orange County Board of Education headquarters located at 200 Kelmus Drive in Costa Mesa. I am asking every single person I know, whether you live in this county or in this state or not, to be there. I did not know Orange County Board of Education before a few months ago. I went to a meeting back in April. I didn't know him from Adam. There were 5 members of that board, and I spoke to them about the harms from social distancing, which is actually social isolation, which is actually a wartime technique developed by the CIA in the middle of last century to break down prisoners of war because it is more effective than physical torture. And it is also about the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day and being an alcoholic. And it destroys the part of your brain responsible for actually learning when you're on campus, which is known as the ventral striatum. And when I got done citing these medical studies to the 5 members of the Board of Education, I looked into their eyes, and 4 of the 5 members of that board got it. They had tears in their eyes. At that point in time, they didn't know that they were going to be called on to do something momentous in history. They didn't know that the governor 2 months later was going to shut down the schools. They didn't know that their superintendent at that very moment was acting behind their back in a rogue manner to convene a secret panel that he would not allow them to be part of and go rogue in also recommending basically the closure of our schools. When they found out about this, to their credit, they convened their own separate panel, a Teflon panel of real experts, real medical doctors on the front lines, real lawyers, real you name it, subject matter experts. And they came out and they recommended at the end of June going back on campus in person, fully normal, which, by the way, is what 70 to 80% of the families in every single school district in Orange County also wanted. I told them, the Orange County Board of Education, about a month ago when they were considering this lawsuit, that their vote that night was likely going to be the only vote in their lives that they would be remembered for. I told them that they were going to make history if they chose to take on our governor over his state closure of our schools. And to a man and to a woman, with one exception, they didn't shrink from that duty. They didn't shirk that duty. They rose to the challenge. And in so doing, they took heavy fire from coast to coast for being willing to have the backs of the kids that they were actually elected to represent. I was shocked that not a single local board of education underneath them, they represent 27 different cities in our county, actually followed suit. I was really, really shocked, but it didn't destroy their desire to do right by our kids. And they are having a press conference tomorrow to talk about this very important issue. And I am asking you to be there. I don't care if you have to trade shifts at work. I don't really care if you have to cancel open heart surgery. In my book, it is that important. And here's why. We are living in times of tyranny. And in such times, your actions don't just speak loudly. They are the only thing that counts. They're the only thing that counts. If you miss tomorrow's press conference, make no mistake, that's a vote for oppression. And not just any oppression, but the oppression of the children who are supposed to be inheriting the planet when we die. But your presence tomorrow means everything. I'm going to lay it on the line for you guys. Orange County Board of Education is your ride or die. They, in fact, are your only ride or die, not just for the citizens in our county and the kids in our county, but for the state and for the nation. We need to be there tomorrow. They've had our back. We need to have their back. And we need to signal to everybody who will be watching that this is a damned important issue and there is only one right answer. And we also need to convey our gratitude to our state Supreme Court for taking the time to hear this matter this week. I will see you there.